What is up, guys? It is your girl, Confident Black Girl, back here again. Yes, again. I don't know why you're so surprised to see me here, to see that little notification bell, because I told you already I would stay consistent, and here is me being consistent. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. I am Confident Black Girl, like I said, and in this video we're gonna teach you how to get over your ex. Now, disclaimer, this video will not make you unbothered by tomorrow. And in fact, the whole concept of being unbothered is what causes people to not get over their exes fast. Being unbothered makes us hold on to people in past situations for years, just wondering why we just can't let go. I know everyone knows this one guy who was like 22 plus and still claiming, oh, these hoes ain't, these girls ain't nothing, I don't love no blah blah blah, because it turns out he got his heart broken in the 2nd grade. We all know that one guy, like, don't lie to me. And bet money he chose first and foremost to be unbothered. Being unbothered permits us to take the focus off of us and our own feelings, especially in the sight of pain, in the direct sight of pain, and focus on other people who potentially might judge us. And the whole reason why we want to choose to be unbothered in the first place is because emotions hurt. Like, it hurts. Like, having inside wounds hurts. And in a society that praises being unbothered, only being happy, only being joyful, only being like this loving light person over the more quote-unquote negative or bad emotions, we're quite literally forced and socialized to be unbothered and separate ourselves from our emotions. Why we choose to separate ourselves from our emotions also has to do with shame. Shame is such a heavy, heavy feeling. Everyone has felt it. Nobody has ever not felt shame. It sits in like the pit of your stomach and it goes up through your chest and your heart. Like, it's a lot. So in order to bypass feeling, bypass the hurt and the pain that confronting our shame gives us at first, we would rather swallow it and just suppress it down, along with anything else that we feel is or society has told us and shamed us into thinking that is shameful. And because shame is so heavy, it can really be used as a powerful tool against you to control you. For a lot of us, our parents shamed us out of behaviors when we were growing up that they deemed, you know, unfavorable or unlikable. When we get to school, we tend to get shamed by certain teachers, but also just by our peers. Peer pressure is a powerful thing because of shame and wanting to avoid being shamed, being embarrassed, and just things that go with shame to exacerbate it and make us so scared of it. And because negative quote-unquote emotions like sadness, anger, grief, you know, everything under the sun of that are viewed in our society as shameful, we, with shame in general, suppress that down, suppress our emotions down, actively allowing those that we feel these emotions towards, these negative emotions toward, control us, and potentially anyone who has their eye on you to see how you're going to act in this situation. That's why the act of being unbothered is so disconnecting from yourself, because you're worrying about the other party who you have the situation with, and you're also wondering about other people, possibly strangers, acquaintances, people who don't even know you like that, not see you sweat. Because then we don't want to be shamed for acting or looking crazy, for being sensitive, for being emotional, which, like I said, is deemed as so negative. So we push it down and push up unbotheredness, try to numb ourselves, and just hope and wish that these shameful emotions will just go away. Well, I'm here to tell you, no, it does not work like that. Let me ask you a question. If you have moldy, nasty bread, Moldy, nasty. If you ever had moldy, nasty leftovers that you just forgot about, it kept getting pushed back, whether you did it intentionally or not. It kept getting pushed back and back and back to the back, all the way back to your fridge, to the pit of your fridge, and just got nastier and nastier and started like festering, and it gained a smell. If you just hope and wish that they will go away, will it go away? Will that smell go away? No, you have to actively push everything aside, go in the fridge and handle it yourself and throw it in the garbage. That's also what we have to do with our emotions. Hoping and wishing and suppressing and then just hoping and wishing and going through that cycle, it will not change anything but just make you more and more shameful as you push things down. And that's why the food starts to stink, because it's an indicator. Hello, I'm here, I'm dirty, I'm moldy, I'm icky, I'm nasty, and I need to be dealt with. That is why certain memories from that situation, certain, things will trigger a memory from that situation, acting as like a stench, an inner stench that say, hey, I'm here, this needs to be dealt with, and you're not dealing with it correctly. That's why it'll just never go away. And a big lesson of that, and a way to really help to shift your focus from outside parties to yourself, is to just look at your relationships, your problems, your issues as mirrors. As things that you go through, obstacles that you go through, lessons that you go through in order to make you a better person and to level up. So when we continuously push these issues down, you're really blocking your blessings, you're blocking your evolution, and you're blocking your glow up and acting really as your own worst enemy. And not to make y'all feel like, oh, like, dang, not to make y'all feel shameful for doing it, because we all do it. We've all been socialized to do it. The reason why I want to make this video is because I noticed it within myself. I'm not perfect. I'm not here to just preach to y'all. I go through things and then I literally film it weeks, months after, So I went through it. I started noticing patterns and signs, and just the fact that these emotions from like years ago will just not go away if I just hope and wish it away. I have to go through it and feel it. And when I feel it and put the lens and the focus on myself, the problems teach me about myself. It teaches me the areas of myself and of my life that are sensitive to me. It teaches me how to create boundaries with other people. It teaches me my own likes and dislikes, and why I may react to a certain situation differently than how another person will react, and how that's just okay because I'm me, And when you start to look at your relationships solely as mirrors, and this doesn't mean that you can't feel a type of way about the other party that you went through the situation with. This doesn't mean that you can't feel a way about your ex and how y'all ended. This just means you can focus on that anger, figure out why it's there, figure out what made it happen, and what created the anger. And then that can tell you about yourself and how you may operate in your next relationship, and who you may go for in your next relationship to have better relationships. So not only does reaching in that fridge and getting that bread and dealing with it the proper way get rid of the bread in general, get rid of the stench, it also makes room in your fridge for more quality foods that you can buy, that you can add into your fridge. It also helps you to make better habits in the future, rather than getting like a huge surplus of bread because you're like me and you just love bread. And you get like 3 loaves and then are just so confused every time one loaf just goes to waste. Now in the future, you can know to buy 1 loaf or 2 loaves if you love bread that much. And then in the future, you can learn how your appetite for bread goes. If one week you don't really like bread and you end up wasting a loaf, and that happens and you're tight, and then another week actually really hungry for bread, and then you know you want the 2 loaves and you finish it all and you don't waste no money. I know I'm going kind of far with this bread analogy, this bread symbolism, but like you get what I mean. And this is why choosing to be unbothered and giving into shame more harmful to you than you think, because it actively allows others to control you using your shame, but it also just disconnects yourself from yourself and puts the focus on others when you should really be putting the focus on yourself and figuring out how to soothe yourself after this painful situation that you're in and how that pain is affecting you. It's kind of like choosing to be unbothered, to give another example. It's kind of like breaking your arm, but choosing to focus on people potentially laughing at you because you broke your arm. So you don't go to get it fixed because you want to, you know, mask the pain, act numb, act unbothered, like, oh yeah, this arm isn't broken. Meanwhile, it's like twisted all the way, you know, how it shouldn't be twisted, and just leaving it broken for years and years until it's literally like you can't perform surgery on it anymore. Like it's just deformed for your life, all because, and choosing to be in that pain. Like, number one, no matter how it looks, but like the pain of breaking a limb, but you're choosing to focus on other people potentially laughing at you. That's what choosing to be unbothered is pretty much doing, in a sense. Now, I've always heard the saying, like, children are the greatest teachers, and honestly, I feel like it's really true. Like, when we pay attention to children and how they handle emotions, we can really learn a lot, you know, for ourselves. Like, they can teach us about ourselves and how we should handle emotions. You ever notice, like, you see children playing and then one child may fall, whether, you know, they're actually injured or not, when they fall, they're gonna cry. And they cry and scream for like a good, like, 5 to 6 minutes, and then like right after they're off to play and they're okay. This doesn't mean that they weren't hurt. It just means in the moment, at the sight of the pain, they chose to fully focus on their pain, focus on how the pain affected them. And they didn't act unbothered because they were worried about how people would look at them for crying. Crying is so, you know, normal to babies, and honestly, I feel like it should be normal to adults too. But they weren't looking, trying to act unbothered because they were scared about how other people would look at them. And they just plain either didn't know or didn't care about the people potentially judging them. They were solely focused on themselves and their pain for as long as their attention span can hold. And then they got soothed for that pain, which is also important too. And then they were just off to play. They were literally okay. And they probably forgot about it the next day. That type of process doesn't just change when we become adults. It's just society's attitude towards emotions based on your age, how far up you get in age changes. Not giving yourself time, space, and opportunity to really feel your feelings, even if you have to schedule that time in, it really prolongs the process of letting things go and getting over it and learning your lesson for you to glow up. And it just sends the message that if you're not feeling these positive happiness, joy, love, and light feelings, then there's something wrong with you, because there's something wrong with any emotion that are not these positive emotions. And it creates a really great rift inside of you where you disconnect from the bad parts of yourself and suppress them down. But the thing about that, even if there are bad parts of yourself, that's still you. So you're actively disconnecting from yourself when you put that focus on how other people will view you because of your emotions. We all have emotions. We all cry. That doesn't change because we're not babies anymore. We all need to be nurtured. We all need to be listened to. We all need to feel our emotions. And a lot of us need help feeling those emotions by talking it over with a friend or, you know, a confidant, someone that you're comfortable with, so they can help you, will either help you go through your emotions, because a lot of us didn't grow up, you know, learning how to process emotions, or they can just be a listening ear. and just be supportive to you, which is needed when we view these emotions as so shameful. Like, you see how it just goes full circle. To acknowledge your feelings is to acknowledge yourself. To know your feelings is to know yourself. To know why you display these feelings when X and X happens is to get to know yourself in, you know, just a whole better way. And to reject your feelings is to reject yourself. Our emotions are part of us. Like, your emotions are you, and they're what makes you you. They actively add to your personality. They give you characteristics. They give you, you know, spice, you know, and they really enrich your life. So trying to disconnect yourself from your emotions will never work, because your emotions are you. So all you're doing is disconnecting parts of yourself from yourself, which creates pretty much a shadow self, which is a whole nother video. But it's, well, honestly, no, it's not. It's really just the parts of yourself that you feel shame about and you disconnect yourself from. Look it up. It's really interesting, and you could learn some things about yourself. So the best and fastest and most short-proof way to getting over an ex-friend, a past situation, is to feel your feelings, even if you have to schedule it in. Honestly, like, we all have lives, or our lives, you know, will resume after COVID and quarantine. But like, we have lives where we have to compromise to schedule, you know, a feel session. Don't feel weird or like robotic if you have to do that. I do it all the time. Trust me. Because also, you don't want to just, like, feelings can be intense, and you don't want to just be walking around like, oh, I gotta feel these feelings like right now, and just walk around all sad and melancholy when you're supposed to be at work, or, you know, you're just supposed to be living life. Like, that's annoying. So schedule that feel session, schedule that vibe session, you know, and really feel your feelings. And speaking of feeling, feel free to like, comment on this video, and subscribe, and check out my other videos, especially if this video has helped you. I'm so glad to be here. I'm glad to be back filming. And I'm glad to reach out to people who may need help with these things, because I know I needed help. And where did I go? To YouTube. So great that you're here. It shows that, you know, you want to heal, you care about yourself, and that you're committed in some sense to doing the healing. So in that respect, shout out to you. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.